This was my first decorated level, and this is it remade 1 year later. Yet this was not something that took one day, but actually spanned over the course of a whole week and 20 hours. Here's how I did it. Day 1, and it was time for the layout. The first part was heavily inspired by the original, with a few added structures, yet at the drop there is a big change. This part usually has a half speed portal, at least in the original, but to fit the song more, I added a 3 times speed portal instead. Then I added this cool transition and made this big wave mini, as it fits better and adds some variation. I then added this neat ship part, inspired by the original, yet extended. I then added this extremely extended wave part, pretty closely reflecting the old one, with a few minor changes such as these spikes. Then there's the final cube part, which is pretty different from the original. It has some similarities, like this club stamp monster at the end. Anyway, with the gameplay done, I now had the most challenging part, the decoration. Day 2, and it's time for the decoration. I started by adding these base blocks, consisting of these 9 circles blocks, and these regular base ones. I then added these orange blending outlines, and then I added this glow, and the block design was mostly done. Now after this, I was already pretty burnt out, so I decided to stop building for the day. Day 3, and I had some things to touch up. To start off, I made these rock things to put on the bottom of the blocks to add some more detail. I then added this air deco pillar, inspired by every single one of Vit 12's levels. Seriously though, I think Vit's levels are awesome. Anyway, I was once again burnt out, even after this minimal amount of work. So after half an hour, I was done for the day. Day 4, and today was going to be a huge day. Perhaps one of the most exciting and productive days of all. So, what did I do that was so important? Nothing. Yes, I'm not joking. I did absolutely nothing. So after 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds of work, I was done for the day. Day 5, and today I actually started taking notes, so I have a more detailed description of what I did. To start off, I added some movements to add some much needed life to the part. I then added a pretty generic background consisting of these slopes, and then added some large glow above the part to add some atmosphere. Then I did something important. I began on the drop. I started by adding this gradient thing, then surrounding it with a base block. I added a bit of glow, and then the block design was done. I then added this pillar air deco thing I put in the first part, and added this background pinwheel, and made sure to turn on don't fade and don't enter. I then added some more air deco in the form of these low object stars. I then just played the level for a while for some reason. I don't really know why. I then added these foreground pillars, which ended up not working, so I scrapped them. I then added these slopes, these pillar air deco things, and finally, more stars. After adding all of this, I got really burnt out, so I decided to log off for the day. Day 6, and this was the final day in this video, as it has already taken way too long to make, so this was going to be the final day. So to start off, I played a bit to remember what I did the previous day. And so, I was ready to start decorating. I started by putting saws everywhere, and then added these pillars. I then made these cool spikes and added this glow everywhere. I then chopped off the bottom of these blocks to save objects. The final thing I did was accidentally do this frame perfect thing. Yep, that's literally the last thing I wrote in my notes. Anyway, now it's time for the showcase. Comparing the old to the new. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.